Somebody said, how do you do texture? And I've got to be honest, texture's it's quite a hard one. I think out of everything that I've taught myself how to do, it's the one that I kind of figured out last. Certainly not last, actually, there's always new stuff to learn, but it just took a while. Because, let's zoom in a little bit. If you try and do texture in a way that is, hang on, I'm just trying to find my pen. Which one am I using? That'll do. So if you try and do texture in an unorderly sort of way, it doesn't look very good. So let me just give you an example. Let me just draw an outline around this for a second. And let's just say that I'm drawing something where this needs to look like it has weight and volume and it's a 3D object within the picture, you know. So doing texture in an uneven way, because like, all I do is this. I just do different variations of things like that. That's my texture. It just indicates that there's some sort of texture on the surface. But if you do that in a shit way, if you make it look shit, right, so let's just say I'm doing this. And I'm rushing it deliberately to try and make it look crap to prove my point. But there's like a load of stuff in an uneven way where I haven't really thought about it. It still looks like an object, even though I've deliberately done a shit job with it. It still looks like it has texture on the surface, but it doesn't look as good as if you really stop and think about where you're doing it. And I think basically I'm saying don't rush it, I think is what I'm saying. I don't know, but here we go. Look, let me just do the outline again. So I want this to look like it has a side to it, so I'm just going to very gently draw a line next to the outline. And as I'm like pulling down like this, I just kind of let go and it draws a broken line for me where I'm taking the pen away from the paper. Like that. So let's do that down here. And then when I get down here, let's just put a couple of bumps in there. Like that. So already that looks like, this looks like it could be a very thin 2D object, like just something very thin, if you know what I mean, like this. It kind of looks like this here, kind of looks like this, if you know what I mean. It looks like a flat object. Man, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain how to draw, because I know how to draw, because it's always going to be a case of practice makes perfect. So you just have to bear with it. You just got to keep trying. And with texture, it's just putting flourishes of detail here and there. Like, so let's make this corner stand out a bit more as well. Doing those little broken line dots. Put a couple of circles in there as if there's like a pothole texture, little like rocks. But when I'm doing texture, a lot of the time I'm kind of drawing what I think a rock texture looks like, because it seems to be good for anything. Like if I'm drawing my big nasty looking teeth, the texture that I do on that looks like rocks, a rock sort of texture. Even this little guy that I made, again, I don't really know how to do texture, but I just see that there's pothole marks, there's a little bit of crosshatch stuff going on, mostly fingerprints, which kind of worked out well. Just kind of looks like rough skin or whatever. It's a hard one to explain, because it's, like I say, it's doing this, but it's making it look good, and that just comes with just time, patience, just a few tiny little, like if you get a really thin pen, and do that broken, yeah, okay, here's a good thing, here's a good, so surface detail, very light surface detail. You get a very thin pen and do that broken line thing again. And these will hardly even appear. You see that? So that just looks like a scratch, like it rubbed, whatever this is, it kind of rubbed up against something and got a scratch. If you put some on the side, you can kind of get the impression that it goes, this thing is 3D and that goes around. Maybe if you do more curved sort of line work like that. And with these thin bits, you don't want to get carried away. You don't want to do this. Right, because, yeah, okay, that looks like a scratch, but it just looks a bit shit. Just take your time, do it, I don't know, do it properly. So then I'm going to do some going the opposite way, but not too many, because you want it to look random. So there you go. And then again, look, I'm just automatically, without even thinking about it, just putting little flourishes in there. Just so you know this isn't floating on its own in an isolated sort of way. It's part of what you're doing. Gotta hope this all makes sense. Right, let's make it look like there's like a curve going into this. So I would do that, or just any old shape, like this square has a dent going into it. And again, the outside of this dent, because this is going to be the inside, I'm just going to do that line, the sort of line shading I showed you in the other video. Like that. Just make it a little bit darker where it's going further in, because that creates the illusion of, you know, that's going in. And then you want little flourishes as well, just on the other side, so you know this here is all part of this, but this bit isn't, that bit's going in. So yeah, and just do some more random lines. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make it look like, again with that dash line work, shading, I'm going to do that underneath the corner. So now that corner's standing up. Not up, but it's coming forward, and the shading makes it look like underneath is going back. Yeah, there you go. So I've got a round circle here. Let's try and make it look like this is a 3D round object. I mean, they always show you how to do this when you're painting something. Like how do you make a 3D looking sphere shape? Right, whatever. Oh dear, fuck that. Whatever. So it's a bit like what I did with the square, and I've used a lot of straight lines on here. So if I put even more straight lines like that, you know that this is a 3D solid square shape. Whereas a circle, I'm gonna put some little scratches. Again, those broken lines I'm going to put at the bottom, along here, as if this is sat on the side of something. Let's just say this is the edge of the table that is sat on. There we go. And then I would do just curved versions of what I was doing earlier, try and give the impression that, I mean, this is all well and good if you're looking to do scratches and stuff, but that's kind of what I do. I certainly don't know how to make something look soft, unless it's soft as in something squidgy that's been squashed together, if you know what I mean, because then it's just a case of doing lumps and bumps. But let's do that. So maybe there's some big bits, and it's all just, I mean, like big scratches, and then we'll do some of the other scratches going that way. I mean, I could leave it at that, because even with just these lines coming forward like this, and those ones going across, it already looks like it's curved. But what you want to be careful of doing is the lines that you've done like this, you don't want to do exactly that over here, because that won't make any sense. You will need to be doing them the other way, like that. And that, to me, already looks circular. Could do that there. And if you're any good with, I've got my white pen. Where's my little white pen? You could put a shine on it somewhere, like that, which is always a good way of indicating that you know, the light's hitting a round object. And then you do need to be careful where you're going to add more lines, because like I said, you don't want to get the line work wrong. It's always got to be curving. So anyway, that's how to do texture, sort of explained to the best of my ability anyway. So like little dents and stuff like that, make it look shadowy on the inside. Rock texture, look at cracked rocks and stuff like that, because it just seems to be good for all sorts of textures. That kind of soft broken line work with a little bit of cross hatching, that's always good. And if you're trying to do something round, just keep the line work curving around the round object. There you go. Anyway, that's texture. Anything else that you want me to sort of try and explain? If so, let me know. Cheers, guys. Did that sound right? Cheers, guys. Sounded weird.